Welcome to Into the Shoujo-Verse. I'll be your host, Miso,
And I'm Bees.
I'm Aza.
and this week's episode we're going to be talking about shoujo manga tropes. So, how have you guys been since the last episode?
Well, our last episode was like 2 hours ago. Uh, but I'm good. Started a new job recently. Got a pay raise. That's really pretty sweet. But they work me pretty hard, so
Ooh, not
it's
nice.
a trade-off.
It's all about the money, though, in the end.
Yeah. Now that I'm in a new place and my rent is a lot higher, I need that.
Especially in COVID.
I'm grateful to still have a job right now.
How about you, Bees? Anything happening?
I'm just kind of going with the motions. Classes are over, so I'm taking it easy. I'm playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, as I do. Currently trying to write a reunion one-shot for my old campaign. We got to level 20. I DM'd that campaign, we got to level 20. And then they were like, hey, we're going to do a reunion for the holidays, right? And I was like, sure, I guess. So that got dumped on me. It'll be fun, though.
Oof.
That's exciting.
Good thing you're off school now.
Yeah.
Well, I just finished midterms. It went okay. Online schooling is horrible. It's like the worst time to do school right now, but everything's all right.
What's your major again?
Oh, I majored in health science, so like very sciencey, medi. It's kind of gross. I don't really recommend it. So
Are you gonna change?
no, I think I'll just continue. I'm like too far like along my major to change at this point. Like I don't want to restart, basically.
Do you know what you want to do with that degree?
I'm still thinking about what I can do. I'm probably not gonna go into like med, which is like what everyone goes into. I'll probably do like either research or lab is what I'm thinking.
Oh, join me in lab.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Or you are in lab. How is that?
It's really fun. I like it. I like not having to work with patients.
That's
Yeah, I envy you as someone who works with patients.
Yeah, the only time we interact with them is if sometimes lab workers need to fill in for phlebotomy sometimes.
okay. I think we should finally move on to the topic of this podcast episode, which is manga tropes.
Ready to rip and tear in.
Of course. So I think as like the starter, we can always start with age gap, which is everybody's favorite topic.
I'm so ready to tear into this. I've been waiting for this.
So, what is age gap?
You know what? What is like, I've always thought of it as just like a minor and someone who is not a minor.
Adult,
but
maybe?
yeah. So, I mean, if one person's like 17 and one's 18, obviously that's not an age gap, but what I commonly see in manga is just like 8 years or more age gap, particularly when one party is a minor.
That's a no from me,
Yeah.
fam.
It seems very popular in shoujo manga. I don't actually know why. Like the whole like teenage girl and a working adult falling in love. Apparently, it's very popular.
Okay, so I have a theory about that. I think it is because, at least from what my friend who lived in Japan for a few years and taught in a high school there, she taught English, she said that it's not like in shoujo at all. Like the boys and the girls are very separate. They like never even interact, and they act like each other has cooties. Like it just seems like very immature, and the boys, just like horseplay and roughhouse and like act like little kids. If that's true, maybe that was just the high school she was at. But if that's true, it makes me think that the age gap is like for girls who are looking for a mature partner, like a mature love interest, and they're attracted because the boys around them are so immature. They're attracted to this idea of like a successful adult who can take care of them. Also, because a lot of women like just end up becoming housewives. Like they don't go into the workforce.
I can kind of see that because then, like, growing up as a high school student, you're gonna be like you're more attracted to like the older male compared to like your surroundings because a lot of the guys are kind of like, no offense, dumb and like kind of icky. But then like I feel like as I grow up, like I got older, I'm like, ooh, this age gap's a little yikes.
It's a lot more than a little yikes. It's very yikes.
It's a very yikes.
Yeah, I think it's a thing where when you're younger, even I remember in high school looking up, when I was a little freshman, the seniors seemed so old and like mature, which even like, a 14-year-old and 18-year-old is not okay, not cool, gross, bad. But like when you're that age, which I guess shoujo is technically directed at that sort of age, a young teenage girl, that is what appeals to them. But now that we're older, we can see, oh, that's really unhealthy actually.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when I was in high school, even a person who was like 2 years above me seemed infinitely older. And like, I couldn't even fathom them taking notice of me, like knowing I existed.
Just me senpai.
I don't know, just I have like a self-esteem complex. I have an inferiority complex.
Oh no.
But like, I don't know, they seem so much older, and just like older people don't pay attention to younger people. They're inconsequential.
Yeah, and when they do pay attention to you, that makes you special to them. It's the whole
right?
sort
That
of
makes you special.
This is the whole grooming thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like grooming right now.
I mean, that's what it is. Kind of. Well, that's not how they depict it in shoujo. In shoujo, they make it seem so much better than it actually is. Let's talk about this trope a little bit.
It's so pure.
Yeah. The guy he's always so well, this is not. In the good
He's so
series.
respectful.
In the good series, they're very respectful and mindful of the age gap, but that is not commonly the case.
Right. I think usually they like question the age gap at first, and they'll start to flirt with the underage girl, and then they'll suddenly like check themselves and be like, what am I doing? And then they'll like treat her coldly and try and back off because they're like, I can't. No, they're in denial about it, and then eventually they just accept it. They're like, okay, I'm going in full force.
I think that's the problem. They should not go in full force at all. So I think we haven't listed some examples of like age gap yet. Do you guys have any examples that you guys can think of in shoujo manga?
Oh yeah, I'm looking them up right now, but one that I know off the top of my head, which we mentioned in another episode 4, Hirunaka no Ryusei, which is daytime shooting star. That one is a little unique actually, because the female lead doesn't choose the older ML. She chooses the second ML, which breaks a trope of the second ML never getting the girl.
I actually appreciate that.
Yeah, much appreciation for that one.
I think it was a more mature choice because honestly, if she ended with like the teacher, I don't think that would have worked out in the end anyways.
Another example, I can think of an example. Most of the examples I know that do it well are ones that are very mindful of it, and Love So Life is one.
Yes.
The girls.
I don't know how to feel about that one.
Well, it's respectful in the way that they don't get into a relationship until like, I mean, the very, very end, like the last panel. She's like, "Hey," and he's like, "Hey."
Right. They're like, let's wait a few years till you're. I think they wait till she's like 22 or something. Like she's done with college.
Yeah, and they both have time to move on if they want to.
So I think that handles it as well as you can handle an age gap.
Yeah.
It's still questionable, like, why would you fall in love with a minor in the first place? Like, they just, no offense to minors, but comparatively to an adult, like, your brain just isn't fully developed. They don't understand consequences in the same way that an adult does. I mean, literally, that part of their brain just isn't developed yet. And it's just like, they haven't had as much life experience. I can't fathom why in real life an older man would be interested emotionally in a younger
Okay,
girl.
this one's a hot take now for Love So Life. Would it count as grooming? Because like he like takes her into his like home, right? And like don't they get married or something?
They do, yeah.
And then like basically live together. Does that count as grooming?
It was unintentional because she was just supposed to be a babysitter.
Yeah.
I guess.
I don't see it as grooming, but
There are definitely, if you want grooming, there are definitely better examples of it. Just out of that's, as far as I know, one of the lesser problematic ones. But yeah, as far as why older guys fall in love with the high school girls, that's a great question that.
I feel like it's never really explained. It's just like, oh, either they've been around her for a long time, like they grew up together, or oh, she's really mature. Like you forget that she's a minor because she acts so mature.
Oh no, not the she's really immature line. I mean, mature line. That
I
was
mean,
like,
Hate that one.
Like so, Tsubakicho, I think, is an example of that, where the female lead is thought of as just being so mature, like a mother, like she can cook and clean so well, and she doesn't seem like a high school girl at all. And so I think that they're trying to make the age gap okay with that, or they're trying to make it more acceptable.
I think age gap has like the issue that it's like normalizing this relationship that should not be normal. Because there's so many of them, right? And
Yeah.
make it like look normal that like, oh, the girl's mature, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of bend over backwards to try and make it acceptable, to make it more okay.
Yeah, with a mature girl and a mature younger girl and an immature older guy makes them seem like they're on the same level.
Right, they'll even comment in the story like, "Oh, I forget about our age gap all the time." Like I could just see him as a high school boy, you know, because he acts so immature.
Or like that one, oh, what's it called? Well, the one where he's like the mafia or the mob yakuza leader, and he goes to high school with her, even though he's
Oh.
like 10 years
I
older.
think I know which one.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, I
let
know
me-
which one you're
Oh,
talking
I
about.
don't know that one.
Hold on, let me find the name
we-
of it.
We were discussing it previously on our Discord because everyone was following it, even though it's kind of awful.
It's kind of awful, but we keep following it because the main lead's hot.
It was kind of like a train wreck.
Ojo to Banken-kun. That's it.
Oh,
Yeah, he sneaks his way into school and joins her in high school, but he's like 10 years older.
And he like raised her like a little sister.
Oh yeah, he even says like a line where he's like, "Oh, I'm like her dad," or something in one of the
Ew.
chapters.
Yup.
okay, that sounds like grooming.
Yup.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yep, it is.
So that makes me think of another one, Taiyo no Ie, where they grew up together, and like another. She's not mature female lead,
No,
but
she's
they
not.
grew up together, and he's a very immature male lead. So
But they still like they end up together.
And it's
They
not
I don't know how to feel about that.
it's not as
Right.
it's not the most drastic age gap.
no, I think it's like 4 years. No, I think it's more than that. I think it's like 8 years.
Somewhere between 4 and 8.
Yeah. Despite the age gap, I did still enjoy that one. I mean, obviously we've all read all of these, so we were able to still enjoy them despite the age gaps.
I mean, they weren't like too bad. But I also read them when I was a bit younger, so like you didn't really notice the problems until you're older.
Right. Well, I read these ones fairly recently, so
Oh, I read them like a while back.
I think I had a brief period, honestly, where I was kind of into it, and then I kind of checked myself, and I was like, "What are you doing? Like, this isn't okay. Even if it's fantasy, it's not okay."
I mean, I think it's fine to consume like these things as long as you're aware of like how problematic it is if it was like real.
I wonder, like, does if a 16-year-old is reading this, like, does it give her this unrealistic expectation? Does it encourage her to seek out a relationship with an older guy? Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
I feel like it would have an influence on like teenage girls who are reading this, because they would want like their love to be like this, which I'm gonna jump into the next topic just because it kind of relates, which is like the forced kissing thing. I had a friend who for the longest time, because her boyfriend like kissed her or something, she was like, oh, I'm in love with him, like definitely this is real love, for like the longest time. And I think that causes a lot of problematic expectations.
Yeah, I feel like a teenager doesn't know that it's not like the woman, the dude should know. But like when it happens to you, I feel like your first reaction is just like, was that okay? Like it's kind of, so honestly, if it happened to me when I was a teenager, I think I would have been like flattered,
Swooning.
which is totally the wrong response to have, but I'm a teenager and I don't understand anything. So I feel like that's not something that an adult making a shoujo should be offering to teenagers to read.
That's a good point. I kind of had, oh man, I don't know if I want to talk about this. Kind of had an experience like that in high school. When I was a freshman, there was a senior, like I said, and he was, yeah, it was, looking back at it now, it was definitely not okay. Like, really not. But, you know, it just seemed like, oh, an older boy is paying attention to me. I've never been paid attention to before. I need to, like, go along with this.
Oh no.
Yeah, it makes you feel special.
Yeah. And being, like, romanticized in manga is just, makes it seem even better. Like, in ones like Takane no Hana, where the guy is like rich as hell, and you know, they go out to like all the special dinners and stuff, and it makes it seem like it is romanticizing it, and it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be.
Oh really? I felt like Takane Tohana kind of addressed that was the way he dealt with everything, was to just force his way on people and be aggressive.
I didn't read the whole thing, so.
Oh, okay. And then speaking of age gap, that's another age gap story. But and he's incredibly immature, so that's kind of how they try and play it off. But she, like, addresses that with him. She's like, you can't just buy me things that I don't want, and buy my affection. I don't want to keep going out to these fancy dinners. I don't belong in this world of, like, wealth and high status. I just want to do kid stuff. Like, I want to do teenager things.
That's
so
actually
I
really
do feel like that manga actually, yeah, I feel like despite being an age gap, like it addressed the male, like, dominance, the guy always just kind of doing what he wants to the girl, and that being romanticized. It did address that. But it was still an age gap. It was still a pretty dang big age gap. It was like a 13-year age gap.
Since we're on this topic, I guess we can jump right into male dominance.
Ooh. I hate this one.
Do you want to start first then?
Oh man, male dominance, which is like, it's surprisingly common. You might not think that a shoujo about a guy doing, like, bossing the girl around and making her literally act like on his every whim would be not popular, but it actually is. There are some really popular ones, like, oh god, it's Wolf.
Kurosaki to Inari nante or something.
Defying Kurosaki-kun is one that's really popular right now.
That's my guilty pleasure.
Oh no.
I couldn't handle that one.
It's horrible, but then, like, I enjoy it because I think it's a lot better than what's it called, Wolf Girl and Black Prince.
Yeah, that one.
Like, he really does have a character development in the recent chapters, at least. So there's a plus, but it's awful. He's basically an asshole.
Personally, I don't get the appeal to that because it looks like sugar-coated abuse to me. I don't know.
It is. It's straight up abuse. Like, it's oral abuse. she's being harassed in Kurosaki-kun anyway. Like, he bullies her, is very mean to her, and then is like, but also I'm going to kiss you randomly.
Yeah. Okay, bonus
And-
points. He does the forced kissing too.
A lot.
Yep.
Does it a lot.
A lot. And then I think like at one point she does it to him and she's like, ha, I got you back. And I was like, no, stop that. That doesn't make up for it. You can't just be like, oh, now I'm going to kiss you without your consent. And that makes it okay. No, it doesn't.
No.
It's still just non-consent on both sides.
No, there was one chapter where like he got jealous because like I think she was wearing shorts or something, and these other guys were like staring at her leg, and he got jealous and he gives her like a hickey on her leg, and I'm like, why would you do this?
I feel like a more adult woman perhaps could enjoy that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I see the appeal because it makes you feel like he wants you so bad he can't hold himself back. He wants you so bad that he can't hold himself back, I guess is the point. And like, that makes you feel special, but that's just, as I think as you said, B, it's just like sugarcoating abuse.
Yeah, it's not
Harassment.
because it's not done the way they portray it in like Define Kurosaki-kun or the Wolf Girl and Black Prince is just they're just being mean. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there are other examples where it's done better. I don't know if I can think of any though.
I mean,
I
to me,
cannot think of one.
it comes back to this idea also, not only that you're special, but that you can change this bad guy into a good guy just with your love. Like, you're so important and special to him that he changes for you. So then you get to have that, like, bad guy, but also he's a good guy. Like, you get the best of both worlds, I guess, in the end.
I feel like in like a lot of media, not just like shoujo manga, the trope of like, oh, this bad boy changes for a girl is so like popular and romanticized that it really like influences how people like see people, like how people date basically. Because I had a friend who basically tried to date this guy who's like awful. He's like garbage. But like in her mind she thought that she could like change him, which I'm pretty sure it's influenced by all these like media.
Well, I almost want to say it's like human instinct. And you have to fight that instinct and think like, no, you don't enter a relationship thinking, I need to change this and this about the person. You enter a relationship like, even if this doesn't change about you, I still love you and I'm okay with it. And if you want to change for yourself. You don't want to change for the person you're dating because they want you to. You just want to change for your own desire to change.
This has been Life Advice with ASEAN.
Very good. Very
I'm full of it. Come to me anytime.
I hope some teenage girls listening to this, because that's very important.
It's something that you learn after screwing up a lot. Is what I will say about myself.
I mean, you learn from your mistakes, so like, that's good.
And you know who doesn't learn from their mistakes?
Who?
The Shoujo FL.
Shoujo FL and male characters that can't get over their middle school crushes.
Oh no. The persistent second male lead as well.
Oh my god. There's some sort of beauty about some gross beauty about people not being able to move on in shoujo manga and them coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back.
You know, I only enjoy that trope when the one coming back is the male lead. But like, when it's the second male lead, I'm like, why? Why are you here?
Looking at the one guy with black hair from Namai Kizukari?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I kind of dropped it because apparently he's still chasing
Yes. Not actively. I think he's
Why?
trying to move on. But
her. But why?
it's exhausting. And it's kind of surprising how commonly the middle school crush comes up in like in shoujo manga in general. Move on. It was middle school. You were, what, 12 max? Move on.
No, there's also the ex-girlfriend character who always like comes back for,
And
like,
is really like willing to stoop to almost to like injuring people to get the guy.
oh yes, and
Why
their
are these
logic.
why are these like psychotic people just existing and not receiving any treatment or like getting caught by parents?
I don't
don't
know.
understand.
The ex-girlfriend logic is always that like, oh, I dated him once, so like he's gonna come back for me before you. Apparently, that's how it works.
Possessiveness in general.
Yeah, not just the ex-girlfriend, but also the female rival, who is usually like way more beautiful supposedly than the female lead, and but has like a secret, like is nice to everybody, but has a secret bitchy personality. Like,
You know what?
Kimi ni todoke.
Another hot take. Actually, not really a hot take, but question. How come always the second male lead is always like really nice and sweet, but like the rival female character is always like super like mean and asshole and like bitchy?
Right?
How come
Yeah.
that's always the like standard? Why can't we have nice like second female leads?
Because they have to be taught the moral by the pure and perfect, ever forgiving female lead that if they would just be themselves, the male lead would like that so much better than being fake.
Yeah, I think shoujo mangas needs to really stop pitting females against each other.
Right?
That's a hot take.
Yeah, girls don't have to fight. You really don't. You get so much more accomplished if you didn't, actually.
I've literally never seen that happen in my whole life. I've never seen two women fight over a dude.
I mean, usually if they end up fighting, it's probably the guy's trash anyways, honestly. Throw the whole man out.
I
Honestly,
agree.
if two females are fighting, why choose the guy? Just move on.
Yeah, especially if he like cheated on you. Why are you fighting for him?
Honestly. Oh, there's also like that trope of like female leads. I think you already mentioned it, but like being super pure and like helpless and like
Yes.
wholesome
Damn.
and a virgin, if that's important or not,
and clumsy.
So clumsy.
and experience in love.
Yes, inexperienced in love. I think that you're supposed to relate to that because if you're reading shoujo, like clearly you don't have a life. Apparently,
Thank
that's
you.
the impression I get.
Thank you for the call out.
I feel like that's how it's viewed, though.
Again, it goes back to the main audience is like supposed to be young high school girls, so young high school girls who want a love life. So here's a protagonist that's just like you. She's clumsy but smart, and she's never experienced love, and she really wants to. So look, her teacher pays attention to her. Now they're in love.
And so, oh my. Yet all three of us, neither of all of us, we don't English. None of us are high school students.
Not even close.
That's what gives us the wisdom to understand the tropes are bad.
I mean, we still enjoy them, even though there's so many tropes that we want to like rip apart and like we're really frustrated by. There's something enjoyable about how predictable some of these things are.
I think there's a sense of security with that. No surprises.
It's really
Yeah, no jump scares.
Yeah. It's really nice when the tropes are done well. Because when they're done poorly, that's when you want to tear them up. But when they're done well, or maybe even subverted, it's noticeable and it's refreshing.
You know what's a webtoon that like subvert the tropes really well? It's like, what's it called? Beware of the Villainess. That one subverts things really well.
I have not read it.
It's an isekai one. Have any of you guys read it?
Did you say beware of the villainous?
Yes.
Oh
did.
yeah, I actually just read that over the past couple days.
Yeah, I think that one subverts all the tropes because like basically she like shits on all the male leads and how they're actually all really creepy and have like terrible personalities.
I have to argue that I think it's actually just following a new trope in isekai, specifically isekai otome, where she reincarnates as the villainess. And in this specific one, she didn't reincarnate, but she's essentially still in that villainous role, and she's like rejecting the villainous role that she's supposedly supposed to follow, and rejecting all of the male leads that all come to love her. I think it's just a new trope, but it's still a trope.
I have seen a lot of villainous ones starting to come around.
Yeah, isekai tropes, there's a lot of those as well. I mean, like, one of the major isekai trope thing is that, like, they always get into a relationship with a guy who's, like, higher ranking than her in society. He's never married down, he's always married up.
Right, they're always in this like kind of backwards European society that's like, oh, women just have to, you know, hide behind their fan and wear pretty dresses and do as they're told. And then the villainess comes in is like, forget that, like I'm gonna do what I want and I'm gonna obtain power. And I enjoy those tropes because that's about feminism and it's about achieving something for yourself and women just choosing their own path. Positive trope. The one and only positive trope.
Yeah, I think that's why I've been, like, really enjoying isekai mangas, is because, like, there's a little bit more, like, feminism involved. Although, like, obviously it's not, like, 100% not sexist, because there's still some parts that are very, yikes. But compared to, like, the classic shoujos, I would say it's, like, a one step forward.
A big step forward. Yeah.
Major step forward with the no more damsel in distress.
Yeah, because Japan is really behind in women's rights in comparison to like America or Europe. I think they're coming along, but they're definitely further behind.
Yeah, I think definitely. I'm not Japanese and I don't live in Japan, so I can't say for sure. But based on like all the mangas I read, it's always like the woman or the female lead. Whenever they skip to the future chapters, she's always like a housewife.
Yeah, it's really upsetting when they never choose. They always choose some kind of arts career too. When they choose a career, it's always something in the arts, like fashion design or being an artist, or it's never anything like scientific or political. Like, it's never a very empowering job necessarily. Like, one where, I mean, obviously art is empowering, but it's not a job that, like, it's just not in those fields. You never see them go into those fields.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of I forgot what exactly the manga was, but like in the end, like she chooses a career in like med, and she goes to like seeing like this college to see like I forgot what the word is. Oh, I'm tongue twisted. But anyway, she like got a seminar type of thing, and she was like meeting these doctors. So like I thought in my head, oh, she's gonna be a doctor when she grows up. But surprise, she becomes a nurse, not a doctor.
Yeah,
I didn't understand how that happened.
Yeah, I think I've seen like a couple where she'll become a nurse, but maybe like one where she ever becomes a doctor. Like,
I mean, not saying that being a
higher.
nurse is like bad. Like,
No,
it's still a
it's-
great profession.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I'm very near being a nurse myself. It's just, it feels limiting that like, oh yeah, women can have a job, but it can't be something like, you could be a nurse, but you can't be a doctor.
You can be a secretary.
Yeah, I don't
You
understand.
can't-
You can be a secretary.
you can work a desk job, but like, you can't be the boss.
Oh, that's so true. All the bosses are always like male. So I've never like trope that's like kind of we already discussed about forced kissing, but I think this one kind of ties in is like kind of like fetishizing non-consent. We dipped into that like a little bit. I think we can dive back right in a little.
I don't know if we want to talk about smut, but this one, it's
We're all 18 plus. It's all good.
this non-consent is, I feel like, most fetishized in smut when the girl is saying, no, 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 no.
But does she really mean no?
But then he keeps going.
Right, you almost like think that this is written by like an incel or something. But no, this is written by a woman and this is her fantasy.
It's so normalized, especially since we're on smut, right? Drunk sex. Like the girl getting like drunk or something and then they just do it. It's so normalized in manga that I'm like, why? Why is this a thing?
And that happens in reality a lot, unfortunately.
It does, but like normally it's not romantic.
No. Yeah, I think a lot of it is like, it's very tied in with the male dominance, like him asserting, like, you know, doing the kabedon, which we don't see too much anymore. The hand on the wall cornering the girl.
I still
Or,
enjoy
like,
it.
The chin tilt, which
Ooh, I
is
still enjoy
supposed to
those.
like, in manga, the girls are like, oh my god, squee, I would love it if a boy did that to me. And it was like, any boy? As long as he was hot? Just any boy? You would love that? Really?
I don't know. When I was in high school, I wanted that to happen because it's like, oh, so romantic. Especially,
No,
like,
I
when you
totally
read the
did
manga.
too. When I was in high school, because I didn't know any better.
Yeah, but
You didn't really think about how far that could go.
if you think about literally a stranger coming up and cornering you, it's not.
Doesn't matter if they're good looking. That's
Yeah.
terrifying.
It all goes back to male dominance.
Everything goes back to male
Everything
dominance
leads back to that.
and sexism.
Speaking of a guy you don't know coming up and like kissing you, changing gears a little bit here, the trope of foreigners, most commonly for some reason I think Americans and French people, Japan seems to be kind of obsessed, but they don't know that much about our culture apparently we greet people by kissing them on the lips. Do we do
Yes.
that, guys?
Nope.
Yes, total 100%. We do that.
Yeah, it's so American.
And like, I don't know, there's always like the idea that foreigners are like really touchy. And that's like normal, you know? Like, we should just accept
Yeah,
that.
I always smooch my homies on the lips.
Yeah.
Come on. Are
Us
you really
foreigners.
homies if you're not smooching them on the lip before
Yeah.
they leave?
Give your homie a little goodnight kiss.
We got no personal space.
It's COVID now, so air kiss.
I think that's one of the tropes that I hate the most is their like willful misconceptions of foreigners. I feel like they choose to like continue these incorrect ideas about how foreigners behave on purpose. Like they know that we don't do that, but they just use it as like a plot device to like introduce a foreign character that kisses the girl and then the male lead can get jealous over something or like rip her away and be like, wow, suddenly I realized that I don't want other guys near her. It just feels like a plot device now.
Foreigners are a plot device, essentially.
They are. They always
Yeah.
are.
They almost always are, yeah.
Or like a way to make the male lead more attractive. Like, oh, he's a quarter French. That's why he's so gorgeous.
Oh, that's why his hair is blonde. Huh.
Yeah, because like if you have foreign blood, you're obviously gonna be like super handsome.
I mean, we're flattered, I guess. Thank you, Japan.
But like, not all foreigners are blonde hair, blue eyes,
I know, right?
which is why?
Ooh. Somewhat related to foreigners. How about going abroad? You know, that good old trope.
Right.
Oh.
Everything's going good in the relationship, and then all of a sudden, the male lead decides he wants to study abroad.
Dun dun dun.
Honestly, I don't know much mangas where like the guys study abroad. I only know like when they like study like in their city, in their is it called province
Yeah.
in Japan? I don't know. I'm ignorant. Province in Japan, they have to like move, but that's I don't really know any that like move actually abroad.
Oh, really? I feel like that happens a lot.
Does it?
According to Samosa, who lived in Korea for a long time, it's more common than we might think. Like, that someone from Asia, like Korea or Japan, would want to come to America to study in university because I don't know. I guess
I think it's
have
better schooling.
prestigious schools, yeah. But I still think it's way overused.
Well, you gotta separate the leads and give some eggs somehow.
Yeah. You gotta force some advancement somehow. You know? They can't be like kind of not really dating and then he's like, I'm going abroad and she has to make a decision. Will she commit or will she let him go? But then in 4 years later he's gonna come back anyways and they're gonna commit anyways.
Right. They're gonna get married because you always get that little ending chapter about how they got married.
Because they never move on.
You know what's the worst though? When the guy chooses to not go abroad and sacrifice his entire future because he wants to be with the female lead. That makes no sense to me.
Right.
It's like real life people
Like,
not
wow.
taking a scholarship because they want to be near their high school like girlfriend
Right.
or whatever.
That does not happen. Like, are you really gonna sacrifice your entire future for this female that you might even break up with
I've
later
seen
on?
it happen.
Well, even if you want to do that, what parent lets you? The parent's like,
especially
no,
Asian
you
parents.
got this scholarship, like you're going.
Especially if you have Asian parents, it's not happening. You're going to school. I don't care about your relationship.
Oh, also, like the female never gets to be the one who gets offered to study abroad. It's always the dude.
Oh yeah, that's so true. Why is it the female never females are always like quote unquote like academically not as good as the male lead usually.
Or they don't know what to do in the future.
Right. Which I think is supposed to be relatable, like, to the reader. That you don't it's okay to not necessarily know right away what you want to do in the future. But at the same time, it continues to make us feel like the female is inferior.
I mean, there's always that chapter where like the female lead like fails her exam or something and she needs the male lead to like tutor her.
Oh, yeah.
It's always a trope.
And she's like, oh my god, I can't study. He's so close to me. He's so hot.
Oh, and then they go into like the same, like his house or her house, and no one's home, obviously.
Right. The library's always closed, or like something happened with the place they were supposed to meet at, and he's like, well, why don't we just go to my house?
And then they go to the house and then it snows and you can't go home in the snow. Oh no. Let's put as many tropes as we can.
And then the male lead throws in you should be more aware of your surroundings because they're home alone together.
And then he goes to take a shower and then she, I don't know, walks in there because she needs to give him a towel and then he's there naked. Oh no. And then she slips and falls.
Oh no.
Because she's so clumsy.
And then they share a bed because that has to happen.
Guys, we just wrote a shoujo. Oh my god.
It's probably already been written, honestly.
So this makes me think of another trope that I want to talk about so badly. Is parents in shoujo manga. There's like 2 types of parents. There's the ones that let you do anything. Oh, I should say 3 types. The ones that are literally never there or jerks. Or the ones that are like super, super possessive and are like, don't you dare come near my daughter. She's too good for you. Who the hell are you? You can't come near her. Like, why are there only these 3 types of parents that exist?
I mean, tiger parents or helicopter parents do exist. And it's very prominent in like a lot of Asian households.
Well, I know. I'm not saying that parents don't exist. I'm just like, why are there's never a parent which I feel like is like kind of a mix between them. Like they're either like, oh my god, you can do anything you want. I have no parental advice for you. Like no, I don't police. I don't like manage you at all. Or the ones who are like way over controlling and overbearing. Like there's just no in between.
It's always like really extreme parenting
Or they're straight up
style.
not there. Mm-hmm. The best
Yeah.
ones. Yeah.
Oh, because they live abroad.
Right. Is this
And then they leave their teenage kid.
like please tell us if like you know about this? Like is there really that many Japanese students whose parents work abroad and they just live alone as a high school student?
Yeah, I'm actually curious. Is that like a normal thing? Because like that never happens here.
I remember when I was in high school, even if my parents were like gone for, a day or two, they were like, are you gonna be okay? Like, here's the neighbor's number, by the way. I'm like, I'm in high school. I know how to, like, take care of myself. I'm not like a toddler.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I just, it's so weird to me.
Yeah, that you can just be like, oh, I'm so busy with my job that my child can fend for themselves.
My teenage child.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about, like, them bringing over someone that they shouldn't and getting themselves in trouble. Like, I'm not worried about that. My job is more important.
They're not even gonna leave like a guardian with them to check up on them at all. They're just gonna, they're just gonna live on their own.
Or, like, the parents who, for some reason, encourage their child to, like encourage them to be promiscuous for some reason. They're like, oh, this boy that you brought home is so sexy. Here's a condom. I'm like, what is that?
Oh,
I can't imagine any parent
it's
like
like the
that.
Mean Girls mom. It's like the mom from Mean Girl. She gives her a condom.
What other tropes can we talk about?
I think since we're talking about like independence, there's like the trope where the female lead would have to get like a part-time job. Which I actually think that's pretty common in high school to get a part-time
Yeah, I
job.
had
Is
one.
it? I didn't know anybody who had a part-time job in high school.
You didn't know anybody?
No. Well, I guess I'm the odd one out then.
Really? Because when I was in high school, a lot of people had part-time jobs.
Wait a minute.
Like,
My own sister had one. Never mind.
did you forget your
It
own
was so long
sister?
ago.
Oops. Okay, JK, never mind.
But
Oh, here's one that we love all very much. The fan clubs for the hot male lead.
Yes.
I never understood how come like there's like a whole fan club dedicated to his one quote unquote hot male lead and that everyone's like crazy for him.
an actual person they go to school with.
He's not an idol or a model or anything.
He's just a dude. That's so weird.
I just can't imagine that anyone is that attractive, like physically, like that far superior physically to the people around them that you treat them like a god.
I can't relate. Me personally, I don't even see, like, sure there are attractive celebrities, but I would not, like, idolize them. I don't know how.
I mean, I can understand like idolizing celebrities because like I'm into K-pop and like a lot of people idolize the idols, but I can't imagine idolizing like an average Joe
Average Joe who's like 7 out of 10.
that like he just goes to school, he doesn't sing.
Yeah, like what high school boy is so put together that he's achieved the level of an idol?
None is the answer.
Like without any makeup or any help from like stylists or any Photoshop.
And if he dates someone, all the girls go crazy on like whoever he's
Start
dating.
bullying her.
Hint LDK.
Calling her out to the roof or to the back of the building and threatening her.
Because you can't date our prince. He's for everyone.
That's not how it works.
And they like turn on each other because they're like, you were going to confess to him though, but you were going to confess to him too. And it's like their whole system just falls apart.
Oh, they have like the ranking system too, where they're like, oh, if you're like this rank, then you can confess to him. If you're this rank, you can't talk to him.
Yeah, that is something that just has no bearing in reality for me. Like, I've never seen anything like that.
I don't think it exists in any reality except for shoujo manga reality.
I want to know though, like, does this happen in Japan? Are there fan clubs for just people in school?
I really hope not.
Yeah. Is there a fan club for Average Joe?
Then how did that, like, become a trope?
It's probably...
I mean, there's also the confessing by putting like your love letter in a shoebox thing. Like, is that a real thing? Or is that just like
It
a
seems
manga
more
thing?
realistic. Or potentially more realistic, at least.
I can see it being like an older tradition, I guess. Like when relations between boys and girls were even more conservative and even more restricted, that you could potentially, you couldn't even like really talk to a boy, so that was the only way you could let him know.
Oh, that makes me think of another trope.
Could
Falling in love with someone you've never talked to.
Oh my god, yeah, I've seen you on the bus every day, or on the train every day when I go to school. Please go out with me. Huh? You don't know their name!
love at first sight.
What sort of confidence do they have to be able to do that?
To be fair, love at first sight is like a studied phenomenon, and it does happen. But I don't know any high school girl that would just like, or a high school boy, I guess, would just instantly like ask them out, because you'd be so nervous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in general, like, there are a lot of high school kids that behave, like, way more boldly than any high school kid I've ever seen.
Honestly, that's so true. Especially like because some shoujo take place in middle school. I don't understand how they're all like really eager to fall in love. Because I remember middle school is like boys are icky type of deal.
Okay, no, I was definitely into boys by middle school. I had my first kiss at 4 years old.
Wow.
Dang.
I was an early
You're
bloomer.
fast.
Actually, it's a funny story. I was a little girl who was like very obsessed with being a princess and being saved by the prince or the boy. Not a very feminist mindset for a little girl. And my kindergarten boyfriend, there was this long bench way on the corner of the playground, and I would always pretend to be Sleeping Beauty, waiting there for him to come and wake me up with a kiss. But he had to fight his friend before he could get to me, and he would always get caught up with fighting his friend and just like playing around with him, and he would never come and kiss me, wake me up. So I would just get bored sitting there like, hey, did you forget me?
That's so cute.
You're very proactive, like in the love world. Because I don't remember wanting to fall in love that young until like at least high school.
That's good. That's normal. You shouldn't be obsessed with love when you're a little kid.
It's really funny because now I'm like, at this point in my life, I'm like, I don't need a relationship. I don't really want one either. I just want to get through. I just want to get through it.
Oh, so healthy. Oh my god, I'm so proud of you. That's so good.
All it took was like 3 bad relationships.
Oh no.
Hey, we've been there.
I mean, now's not the best time to get into a relationship, especially with all this COVID going on. Social distancing, please.
Wear your mask.
By the time this comes out, like, everybody's vaccinated.
Wouldn't that be great?
It's not going to be that soon, though. Hey guys, so we went on a little tangent here for about 15 minutes on vaccines and COVID. So we're just going to skip through all of that and resume right now. You know the trope I hate the most? When the FL won't get her vaccine!
Get your flu shot today.
You know what? I've never seen a manga where any of the characters get a flu shot, so...
Yeah, like they only ever go in for like a twisted ankle.
Or...
So you know what? Manga artists out there, your characters need a flu shot.
You're not supporting the cause.
either they go in because they twisted an ankle or something, or because they passed out.
Right? Because
Oh my God.
anemia, apparently.
Always passing out next to the male lead.
Working themselves so hard that they pass out, or just emotionally overwhelmed, which apparently will make you... That doesn't... I get panic attacks, but I don't pass out afterwards.
You have to make sure you pass out when the male lead is nearby so he can catch you as well.
Exactly.
Or the other really good trope is getting really high fevers and being sick.
Oh yeah, and then being delirious when you're sick to the point where you say things you don't remember. Like, are you drunk? What?
Or you become suddenly super emotional and start being all clingy.
Uh-huh. I don't know about you guys.
I don't think a fever
yeah,
does
like
that.
I'm still in my right mind when I have a fever.
If anything, I'm just like extra gross and sweaty. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah, I don't. The other thing is like, for some reason, someone is appealing when they're sick. I'm just like, ew, no, your nose is all stuffed up and crusty, and like you're all red and what?
All sweaty, probably vomited.
Yeah.
Leave it to Shoujo
Ew.
to romanticize even being sick.
Well, you know,
It's romantic because he's taking care of you.
there was a period in Europe, well, I don't know, European, American, both history, like the 1830s, call it the Romantic era, where it actually was fashionable to be ill. Um, like it was it was kind of like darkly elegant to waste away, to be pale and thin and like unable to do anything because you were so frail. Like it was actually kind of a fashionable thing.
You know what that sounds like to me?
Male
Sounds
dominance.
No, it sounds like an excuse. To be like, oh, I'm not. Don't you know being sick is in fashion? Dying is in fashion. And they're all just.
It was like the peak. Is it because it was the peak of diseases, and they're like, we need a reason why we're all sick?
I don't know. It was such a strange time in history, but yeah, like that happened. And then there was also that movement, which I think is still going, of like doing makeup that makes you look like you have a fever. Have you seen like Japanese and Korean makeup trend to like be all pink around your cheeks and eyes and make
Is that because they want to look like they have a fever? I thought that was just to make you look like
It's
Like you're
e-girl.
blushing.
E-girl
No,
makeup.
you're supposed to look like you're sick. The idea behind it was to make you like. I don't think you're supposed to convince people you're actually sick, but it's inspired by having a fever.
Maybe
it's an interesting fashion choice.
maybe it goes, huh? So that maybe delirious fever trope maybe is deeper than we think.
I don't
Or more
know.
ingrained.
It's actually a fashion statement.
Like, are colds in Japan different? Do they make you lose your memory for some reason of the time when you were
They hit
sick?
different.
It's different. Does it make you clingier?
Right? I don't know. I always enjoy those chapters though, despite their stupid tropiness.
It doesn't make sense, but
You know
yeah,
what?
it's cute.
It's cute. I especially like the fact that like the male lead or female lead takes care of the other person and doesn't get cold
Yeah.
or
Oh, it's
sick
like,
from the other
oh,
person.
let me get up close and like kiss you and or like it kind of goes in hand with the trope of getting up close to the female lead or the male lead when they're asleep and like kissing them when they're sleeping or like brushing their hair out of their eyes. It's just like, why are you touching them when they're not awake? Creepy.
Hey, maybe they're not getting sick because they get the flu shot. I'm coming back. I'm coming back.
There's a usually the excuse is, oh, I've just always been really healthy. But how about this, manga artists? Instead of just saying I'm always healthy, just say I got my flu shot this year.
I wonder. I feel like it's got to be common to get in Japan because I think in Korea and Japan, like they're really focused on medicating against common illnesses. Like in Korea, I think there's a lot of. Sumosa would be able to answer this for us, but it seems like in the K dramas I've watched, like you can get stuff over the counter that you can't get in America over the counter. Like you have to get prescription, and they just like
Okay.
they medicate themselves a lot.
I could be wrong, but like I remember in like a bunch of K dramas, it was like really normal to go to the hospital when you get a cold or
Right?
a fever. So like that could probably contribute.
Yeah. I mean, good that you're like, unlike Americans who are like, I'm never going to the doctor. I hate the doctor. Like, good that you're not afraid to go to the doctor, but what a waste of the doctor's time.
But also healthcare isn't free in the States, so
That's true too.
no free healthcare.
Nope.
No.
So that probably makes a big difference on how we see health. Or how you guys see health,
Yeah.
because I have free healthcare.
Yeah, no, you're right. It does make a huge difference in people's decisions on going to the doctor.
Yep, because if I have a fever, I'm not going until like that number, like, if it gets to like 105, 106, then you'll see me going. Anything under that, no.
To the point where you actually reasonably are delirious. Instead of just this like, oh, 99 degrees, I'm delirious.
You have to wait until the mailie comes over to your house to pick you up to go to the doctor's.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Or like,
Otherwise,
I barely
you're
know
staying
you,
home.
but I'm gonna come over to your house and take care of you. And for some reason, no one lives with you.
That's
Your parents aren't home.
right. I have to go over and take care of them because they don't exist. The parents don't exist. They're not orphans, but they don't exist.
Nope.
Parents don't exist in shoujo manga unless it's convenient.
Unless it serves a purpose in the story, yeah. I think we covered a lot, but I feel like we should maybe save some for another episode.
Alright, so we will end it off here. Thank you for listening to Into the Shoujo-Verse. And this has basically been sponsored by vaccines. Any other closing remarks?
Next time you read an age gap, just keep in mind that it's probably not healthy. And also, don't strive for that in real life unless you're already an adult.
Also, consent is great, please.
Yeah,
Consent
remember
is the best.
that a guy doing anything to you that you did not expressly consent to isn't okay.
Red flag.
I mean, unless you're saying no, but you actually mean yes.
Unless.
But in that case, please just be clear and say yes, so we don't have this like weird like, is it a no-no or is it like a no-yes?
Make healthy choices, kids.
Take your vaccines.
Wear a condom.
Good night.
Don't forget to kiss your homies goodnight.
Aza here. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Into the Shoujo-Verse. Check out our social media. We're on Twitter at the Shoujo-Verse, YouTube and Instagram at Shoujo-Verse, and TikTok at Into the Shoujo-Verse. Thank you so much.